Minerals we want, the body needs to survive and to thrive. Heavy metals are not needed. They don't serve a purpose in the body. We need the minerals to produce proteins, to produce antioxidants, to produce vitamins, to produce hormones.
And it's not something that your body is going to generate on its own.
Exactly. So there's basically 3 principles to this. It's try your best to reduce the amount of heavy metals coming in. Number 2 is to provide the building blocks, so provide the minerals that we need. And then number 3, it's to maximize excretion. So it's to maximize the body's ability so that the body can detox the metals out of the system. Our body already knows what to do, but it's only going to do that if it has the minerals and it's not getting toxic loads of metals on a daily basis.
Welcome to Golden Girl, a space where we dive deep into health, healing, connection, and community. I'm your host, Becca Golden, and this podcast is all about sharing and documenting my journey. Each episode, we'll discuss topics like health and wellness, what I'm learning in therapy, work-life balance, relationships, community, and all the ways I strive for more aliveness and presence every day. Let's dive in.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Golden Girl. Today, I'm sitting with Jeff Lioon Jr. Jeff is the creative director for Oligo Scan and the co-founder of Ionome Labs aluminum export. Jeff works with hundreds of clinics all over the world to help people rebalance their minerals and detox heavy metals. And if you've been following along with the podcast for a while, you know that a couple of years ago, I was really struggling with my health. I was basically bedridden. I was struggling to form coherent sentences. I was losing my memory. I was so puffy and inflamed and fatigued. And the only thing that helped me was doing a targeted mineral rebalancing protocol. And at the time, I had never even heard of minerals before for the body. I didn't know what function they served. And I really feel like the minerals saved my life. So this topic is near and dear to my heart. It is really important that we have more conversations about it. So I'm really looking forward to this conversation. Jeff, thanks for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So to kick us off, can you just tell us a little bit about you, your background, and how you got started in this work?
Yeah, so I think it really all starts with my parents. My father basically started Douglas Labs, which is a huge nutritional supplement company, with his dad and his brother. And they basically started that in the 80s, and they basically ran it for 40 years, and they sold it in 2009. So from a very young age, I was always exposed to holistic health. We didn't have a microwave growing up. My dad would come home from these long business trips across the world and tell me about these doctors and these different strategies that they were using to heal people. So I've always been around it. I wanted to go in the real world and do my own thing. So I went to college, and when my dad sold Douglas Labs to Nestle in 2009, he basically had a 2-year non-compete contract. So he was in Europe a lot growing up because he was helping spread the word of Douglas International. So he came home one day and had this device, the Oligo Scan, and I started testing around with it, and my levels were pretty bad. Granted, I was in college, drinking, drugs, partying, seed oils, and I continued to test myself, but I didn't really believe in it. About 3 years later, I tested myself, and the report was still bad. So I was like, maybe there's something to this, and I kind of had my wake-up call. And that ultimately was the moment when I realized that I needed to change my life. So yeah, I can give you the short version, but I went to New York City. I did tech sales there for 3 years, still continued to party, started to improve a little bit, got a little bit more mature, started taking care of myself a little bit better, and I saw a little bit of improvement on my Oligo Scan, but still was working really hard and stressed. And basically, one day I had a dream to go to Peru and do ayahuasca. So I went to Peru, and I came back with the realization that, why am I here? What am I supposed to do? Am I working to work for the man, or am I working in alignment with my life mission? So at that point, I left New York City, and I basically spent 2 years figuring out what I wanted to do. And I knew I was always passionate into health, but I really wanted to get closer to where my food was. And it's funny because a lot of people go to Peru and do ayahuasca, and they go on dieta, so they're eating really clean. But ayahuasca's message for me also was get closer to nature and get closer to your food and where it comes from. So I kind of went on this mission to go tour a lot of different ranches, get closer to farmers. I moved to Hawaii, and I was basically learning how to hunt. field dressing the animal, using the animal, knowing the different cuts. And yeah, I was living the life in Hawaii, getting really close to my food. And I tested myself with the Oligo Scan, and it showed really, really good compared to my first scan. And I knew that I was like on the right path. And I probably would have stayed there because I was really happy. But I kind of also had this download that this isn't like why I'm here. I'm here to like spread the word, and I'm here to like actually help people. And yeah, I think the Oligo Scan is kind of God's gift for me to do that, to put um, a lot of importance and a lot of understanding about minerals in particular.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah,
Did you
that was
feel
long-winded. Sorry.
No, that's perfect. We can go into as much detail as you
Yeah,
want too, because what brought you here matters,
yeah,
especially as
exactly.
you're interpreting the data. When we did my scan, you were also reflecting on your own experiences too to help explain it to me. So it matters.
It really does. And I've done about 7,000 scans in the past 9 years, and it's given me insight as to connecting the dots, because that's what I am. I'm just a dot connector. I'm not like a scientist. I'm not a doctor. I didn't go to school for medicine. I just have this personal relationship with it because it was my life growing up. And yeah, I mean, minerals are super, super important. So it's kind of my angle to help do good and help, promote what people need to be thinking about.
I wish I had known about minerals
Yeah,
sooner than I did. I'm glad I found out about them when I did, but before I understood their purpose, I don't think I knew that the body needed minerals. I always wonder if someone had asked me what I thought about minerals a few years ago. I'm so curious what my answer would have been, because I really don't know if I would have been able to articulate it. And I think now I have a baseline understanding. But for people who are in my shoes of where I was, could you give us a really basic
totally.
explanation?
Yeah, I mean, what aren't minerals? But minerals are the building blocks of life, really. Um, they're needed for the production of vitamins, antioxidants, proteins, essential fats, hormones, enzymes. So, yeah, I mean, minerals are basically like the foundation of our house, right? It's the reason why we eat food. It's the reason why we drink water. The body can't produce them on their own. And all of those things that I mentioned are impacted if the minerals are low. So, yeah, that's the reason we consume, like, food. I definitely I don't know everything. I do subscribe to the breatharian point somewhat,
What is
but
that?
that's where these people say that, like, they don't need food. They can live off of just air and sun.
Forever?
Yeah, it's really out there. I don't subscribe to it 100%. I think that there's some distortion in our field
Well,
that
wait, is it
this is, like,
if it's been
really
proven,
no, it
it feels
hasn't.
like it can't be.
It's been proven by some people, but, like, these are, like, monks living in Tibet, and
Okay,
yeah, it's
okay.
like your oddball example, it's not everybody.
All right.
No, so I don't subscribe to that. I believe that in this realm and in this current field that most of us are in, we need to eat to live,
Mhm.
right? I think it's pretty agreed upon, but I'm just saying that there's when we start to step out of the box and consider other perspectives, and we hear these stories about, especially in Eastern Asia, about these people living to 120, 130, 150 and eating relatively little food, it's interesting.
It is interesting, and it makes me wonder what they were eating the rest of their lives, because I know that as you age, your body has different requirements and things like that. A lot of people who listen to my podcast are not
Yeah,
these people who are going to live to 130. Myself included, we're not the pinnacle of health because we didn't always make the best choices for ourselves,
y
or because the environment caused our body to react in ways that are not optimal. So it now is, for my example, it's up to me to take
yeah,
so much into my own hands to rebuild my minerals, rebuild my health. For women and for myself, the symptoms that I had manifested as hormone problems.
yeah,
And I think a lot of women I talk to, especially women around my age, I'm 32,
yeah,
and women my age, we all have hormone problems.
yeah,
And what I didn't understand was that hormones are downstream from minerals. So when I was having all my hormone imbalances, I was like, why are my hormones so messed up? And I was wisely advised not to worry about the hormones, worry about your minerals, because if you
totally.
don't have the minerals, your body can't make the right hormones. Do you see that a lot as symptoms? Are people like what kind of symptoms are people struggling with when they come to you?
Yeah, and to your point, they're cofactors, so they're super important. It's like you
Mm.
you need it as part of the ingredient to bake the cake, for example. You need it. Um, yeah, we see a lot, and before I go into that, people also need to understand the concept that heavy metals are going to block the absorption of particular minerals. So you have the metal antagonist and you have the mineral synergist, right?
I'm gonna wait.
Yeah.
Okay, so minerals are the building blocks for everything in your body. You need minerals. You can eat food, but you need minerals. Are the minerals coming from the food?
Yes, correct.
Okay, so you're eating
And water.
food and water.
Yep.
Minerals are coming from your food and water, ideally.
Yeah.
And when you ingest that, you're able to have minerals that your body can then use for all of its processes.
All those different things, vitamins, antioxidants, proteins,
Okay.
enzymes, hormones. Yep, exactly.
Can you give us examples of the typical minerals just so that we have like
Yeah.
something?
Yeah, totally. So you got calcium, magnesium, silica, um, let's say I'm just going down the order of Oligo Scan. Potassium, sodium, selenium, chromium, zinc, iodine, manganese, molybdenum. Fluoride is technically it's a heavy metal and a mineral. So metals and minerals are both elements. So minerals we want, the body needs, right, to survive and to thrive. Heavy metals are not needed. They don't serve a purpose in the body. Now, side note, some people, like let's say 0.0005% might disagree with that statement. And they might say that we don't know enough about all of the elements to say that the metals aren't beneficial. An example could be the Native Americans would always find these hot springs and they would gravitate towards them. And some of these hot springs, you go to New Mexico, Ojo Caliente, it's got arsenic. There's an arsenic spring. Now, most people would say, you don't want arsenic, but these springs found in nature can't have heavy metals in the water. Is it like a homeopathic dose? Just because the metal's there, it doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. It might not be good, and maybe the Native Americans were more connected to the land than we are today. So, but for the most part, for the 99.9%, we don't want heavy metals in the body. Mercury, nickel, silver. Silver's debatable. The Egyptians use it for antiviral, antibacterial properties. A lot of people take silver, colloidal silver, but I've seen it that it can accumulate. So it's an example where the poison is all about the dose. You
The
don't want
poison is about the dose. That seems really important in general in life.
in general in life, water can kill you. We talk about parasites, turpentine can kill you. But if you take a very small amount, it can be beneficial.
Mhm.
That's how homeopathy basically operates. They give you like a minuscule amount of the dose to create the reaction in the body to say, okay, it's there, but it's not overbearing. The body can handle it. It's like the body can basically like level it, but it's not like, a huge dose like a mercury amalgam filling that's causing severe toxicity, which is then causing severe deficiency.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So for the most part, most people agree that heavy metals are not supposed to be in the body.
Yeah.
But then there's this other philosophy that questions whether small amounts might be beneficial or neutral.
Yeah. And again, I wouldn't emphasize that. I'm just giving you like,
Context.
I just give you everything because it's important in my opinion to stay open-minded
Hmm.
and to hear both sides versus getting in these silos. And that's how we collaborate when we ask questions. So yeah, but for the most part, we want to try to avoid the heavy metals and we want to try to provide the minerals.
Okay. Thank you. And I would imagine in today's society, when we're inundated with heavy metals, the small group that has this philosophy that small amounts might be okay is sort of irrelevant because none of us are having small amounts. We are all
Yeah,
really inundated with large amounts of heavy metals that everyone would probably agree are not good for us.
correct. Large amounts of metals that we know are not positive for the body.
Yes.
Yeah, and those are the ones that we see with the Oligo Scan primarily.
Okay. So now that we understand minerals, can you now go into how heavy metals might mimic them and why that is?
Yeah, so you kind of asked me about some trends, and that correlates perfectly because when you see a low mineral, you're likely going to see a high metal, but not always. So part of my job is basically to try to help understand, is the mineral deficiency from lack of nutrition, or is the mineral deficiency from a toxic element, heavy metal, that's blocking and competing for the receptors, that the binding sites? And that concept is called ionic mimicry.
Ionic mimicry.
Mimicry, yes.
Okay.
And it's if you look at the periodic table and you find heavy metal, for example, aluminum, you're going to see silica, you're going to see boron, you're going to see magnesium, you're going to see sodium, potassium, and lithium all right next to it. So that's an example of an antagonist synergist relationship. Another one is mercury, right? Another, probably the most common metal I see in people that over the age of 45, because that's 45-year-olds, I would say they still put mercury fillings in, but 40 years and younger usually don't have them. 30 years and younger most likely don't have them. But mercury is going to prevent the absorption of silica, iodine, phosphorus, zinc, B9, vitamin D. So, it's a big deal when these minerals are low, because the body has this metal that's likely in that binding site that's blocking the absorption, but it also requires the need for more of that mineral. And that's really where the concept of mineral balancing comes from. It's providing the mineral synergist for the metal antagonist. Because we can't make the minerals. We have to get them somewhere.
We can't make minerals. Okay, so these people who are surviving off of no food and they're just having breath, like those people, the reason that people need food is not just because of vitamins, it's also because of minerals.
Yeah.
Because your body can't make it. You can't produce it.
Correct. The breatharians are ones that we don't have to talk about.
They're
in their own, they've figured out how to bend reality to not need what everybody else needs. That's basically it.
Okay.
But we need the minerals to produce proteins, to produce antioxidants, to produce vitamins, to produce hormones.
And it's not something that your body is going to generate on its own.
Exactly.
So when you have a mercury filling, for example, is the reason that it's blocking the absorption of other minerals because your body thinks that the mercury is those minerals?
No, it's because that actual mercury is in the binding site, because the metal has accumulated. And it's kind of like the chicken and the egg question in a sense, because, when you have a mercury amalgam filling, let's just say, for example, right, they put it in the mouth. It stays in the mouth for 24/7 for, say, 30 years. Every time I eat, every time I drink coffee, something hot, every time I chew, it's coming into the body 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
So that mercury, it gets to the point where the body, in my opinion, says, okay, we've got mercury coming in and we can't keep up to get it out at the rate that it's coming in. So we have to do something with this. We can't excrete it as fast as we could 10 years ago. You've put this mercury in me. Like, what am I supposed to do? I can't get rid of it. So it puts it in the fat tissue, and it has to put it somewhere. It can't just evaporate. So it puts it into organ tissue, puts it into fat tissue. And there's really 3 levels, right? There's there's what's in circulation. Then there's level 2, which is basically the peripheral tissue. And then there's level 3, which is deep organs, bone, brain, kidneys, liver. So that's kind of, from my knowledge, how it works. So it's always when you're assessing this stuff, it's how long was I exposed to this metal? The problem is when kids are growing up, and let's say they're eating the standard American diet, they're not getting the zinc, they're not getting the chromium, they're not getting the copper, they're not getting the B6, the B9, and they're not going to get the iodine. And we'll keep it real simple. We'll say just zinc. They're not getting the zinc, but they are getting the cadmium because they're eating a lot of processed food. If the body doesn't have zinc, but it does have cadmium, if you look at zinc and cadmium, they're right next to one another on the periodic table.
And to clarify, cadmium is a heavy metal. Zinc is a mineral.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
The body is going to absorb the cadmium because it doesn't have the zinc, and it can get by because they're so similar in structure. But on an enzymatic level, the body's going to suffer because it needs zinc, not cadmium. And that's where you can see accumulation in childhood that's actually affecting our state right now because of the past.
So this is a child who's not getting any zinc in their diet. They're not even being exposed to it. This child has not consumed zinc in any form, but the processed foods that they're eating do contain cadmium, a heavy metal that the body is seeing we're getting a lot of cadmium.
Yeah.
It's close enough. Let's just use it for now. And then it really can't quite use it the way that it wants to. Am I following?
Yeah, because the body needs the zinc. It doesn't need the cadmium, and when the body has zinc coming in, it's gonna protect the body from absorbing the cadmium because it has the right key to the
Mhm.
castle, but it has the wrong key, so it's gonna take the key versus not taking any key.
Right. Okay.
The same thing can be said with mercury and selenium, and one controversial topic that I've heard doctors say is that, like, when you eat seafood, right, most seafood has selenium and iodine from the sea.
Mm.
Those minerals are very, very common in the oceans. So when you eat the fish, you're always gonna get selenium, but you're gonna start to get mercury as well because of the water. And there's some doctors that say that in certain kinds of fish, the mercury is lower than the selenium, so it's a net win. In other fish, like tuna, for example, or maybe swordfish is a better example, the mercury is higher than the selenium content. So you want to avoid that because you're getting more mercury than selenium, and the body's selenium can't protect the absorption from the mercury. Does that
Okay.
make sense?
It does make
And
sense.
that's kind of a good analogy for how to explain the antagonist synergist.
Yeah. So somebody just wants to make sure that they are getting more of the minerals that are similar to the heavy metals. Even if you have some of those heavy metals coming in, you want to make sure that your mineral levels that are similar to those metals is higher than the metals because your body will then take what it needs from the minerals and not use the metals. But then where would the metals go?
Yeah, so there's basically like 3 principles to this. It's try your best to reduce the amount of heavy metals coming in.
Mhm.
Reduce that to the best of your ability. Number 2 is to provide the building blocks, so provide the minerals that we need. You know, the RDA set guidelines for minerals. So the RDA says, like, we need, I don't know, 4,000 milligrams of potassium a day. Most people are not getting nearly half that. So and the RDAs are, in my opinion, low to begin with.
I
But
actually talked about that on the episode with Ryan. He
yeah,
said that they were designed for during the Industrial Revolution
yeah.
for the average worker to just be alive.
Yeah, exactly. So
Which is so crazy.
it's crazy. They're baselines, but they're really low to begin with,
And we're not even meeting them.
and we're not even meeting them. And then number 3, it's to maximize excretion. So it's to maximize the body's ability so that the body can detox the metals out of the system. Now, God gave us this amazing meat suit for a reason, this amazing body for a reason, and we are natural detoxifiers. Like, our body knows how to detoxify without us having to try. So I think that's really important for people to remember is that our body already knows what to do, but it's only gonna do that if it has the minerals and it's not getting toxic loads of metals on a daily basis.
What you're saying is so important,
Yeah.
especially for my audience who's listening to this, because in the mold illness space and the space of people who have chronic illness, people love to talk about all of their genetic mutations that make it hard for them to detox. And I have some of these genetic mutations.
Yeah.
I know I have them, and I do know that these genetic things do make it harder for me to detox. And I also know that the environment and my lifestyle was not where it should have been for most of my life. So, as I've gone on my health journey for the last 2 years and I've cleaned up my environment, I've
Yeah.
cleaned up my lifestyle, my body is detoxing much more easily than it ever used to. And back then, I thought I was just doomed. I thought, oh, I have this genetic mutation, so I don't detox well. So I'm just doomed to experience symptoms from everything in the world around me. I thought I was just
Yeah.
going to absorb everything and not be able to detox it because I thought that's
Yeah.
the genetics. It's too
Yeah.
bad. But it really is something that we have control over, even if we are one of these people who has a harder time. There's so much that is within our power to make sure that your body does have what it needs to detox. Because ultimately, if someone can't detox at all, like you wouldn't be alive. We are all detoxing every day,
Yes.
perhaps to various degrees, but you have to give your body all of the tools
Have
to
to.
be able to detox to the best of your own ability. And I've seen firsthand in my own case study of myself that when I give my body the things that it actually needs from me, it detoxes so much better than it ever used to, and I feel better.
100%. In the words of Uncle Jack Cruz, light, water, magnetism, and I would add minerals.
Mhm.
I mean, it really boils down to that. So, yeah, I mean, they're essential. And I think it's cool because, well, educating people and just getting this information out is important. But, you know, if you look at the grand scheme of things, right? And I always ask why. We have a soil problem and we have a water problem in this country,
Mhm.
and it's the root cause of a lot of things. You know, you can grow for example, if I give a plant just minerals, but no light, the plant's gonna die. It needs both. If I give a plant just sunlight and no minerals, the plant's gonna die. It needs both. We are like plants. We also need both. You can't just have one or the other. And people also have to consider the importance of the sunlight and our circadian rhythm and the effects that blue light has on that, because that is part of the equation. It has to be both. It can't be, the sun is Tina. There is no alternative. And minerals are arguably just as important as the light. I mean, we need both. Um, but yeah, you can grow a plant in soil, NPK fertilizer, right? NPK fertilizer will grow a plant. But the reason that so many people are deficient is because of the soil. Phosphate fertilizer is going to, it's only NPK. There's none of the trace amounts. There's no boron in the soil because we've done monocropping for the past 50 years and grown the same crop in the same soil with just adding NPK fertilizer. We need regenerative. So that's a huge reason why so many people are low. It's because the food to begin with doesn't have the minerals that it did 50, 60, 100 years ago.
Yeah, what you're saying is such a tragedy too, because so many people think that they're doing all the right things. Like,
Yeah.
you have the category of people eating the standard American diet. They're just doing what they were told. They're eating processed stuff. Everything they eat is tan colored and comes out of plastic.
Yeah.
Then, like, those people, they're drinking soda every day. Like, they think it's a level up to eat a salad. Great. Good for them. Every little bit counts. But then you have the people who are like, they're buying organic. They're trying to eat a wide variety of foods. They're eating healthy and they're eating 30 grams of protein with every meal. But they don't realize that their organic vegetables are still grown somewhere where, like you said, it wasn't regenerative. So they're depleted of all of the vitamins and nutrients that it's supposed to have. They're not going to an organic, regenerative, family owned farm that has been cultivating rich soil for decades. So even if you're doing all the right things and you're eating organic and you're eating lots of protein, you could still be deficient in all these things.
Yeah. And you want the hack?
Yeah.
The hack is basically what I tell people is you go to chronometer.com,
Mhm.
you type in all the food that you eat for a typical day and like be honest. And then you go to the bottom and you look to see what percentage of the RDA you're getting for zinc, for copper, for selenium, for magnesium, for iron, for manganese. Now, the unfortunate thing is, number one, those are RDAs, so they're low to begin with. And number two, it's not reporting minerals like silica and boron and lithium.
And how could it account for whether what you're eating was grown regeneratively?
It's not going to account for that either.
And that should make a tremendous
And it
difference.
does, but you can incorporate foods that are like your safeguards
Mm.
that are gonna really pack the most punch. So even if they like, for example, beef liver, I mean, you don't wanna eat liver from HEB or some, liver that's from factory farm cow. You wanna eat liver from like a farmer's market. Um, odd thing with liver is it's a nutrient dense, powerful food.
Mhm.
It's got a lot of nutrition in it. So you can start to incorporate foods that are super nutrient dense, and at least that's giving you the mental clarity, the mental satisfaction that, okay, at least I can feel it from these foods. But yeah,
Mhm.
to your point, I mean, yeah, it is a problem.
That's such good advice. I actually am wondering if that's why so many people who do carnivore end up feeling better because they're probably removing so many
Yeah.
pesticides that they didn't realize they were consuming, and they're probably getting just like those powerhouse Wow, I never actually thought about that, but I feel like that's probably one of the reasons why people feel better doing carnivore. Because we weren't I mean, that's a whole other topic as the styles of eating and what we were designed for, but I would imagine cutting out fruits and vegetables is also reducing a toxic burden from however those things were grown.
It's the elimination, and I didn't mention, but, the book that really changed my view on this was The Carnivore Code by Paul Saladino,
Mm,
and I read the book, I had an aha moment, and it was like, okay, I was like, "Okay," the light bulb went off, "I gotta give this a shot," because this is, like, kind of truth that I've always known is, like, how good I felt after I eat meat. Read the book, did carnivore for 30 days, strict carnivore, and my Oligo Scan got so much better. All my B vitamins shot up, all my zinc shot up, copper, zinc, everything's up. Now, I was eating organ meats, like, heavily and, like, good quality organ meats, and it was a testament for me. I was like, "Oh my gosh, like, this works." But yeah, it's also about eliminating the pesticides and eliminating some of these things in our environment, the heavy metals. I mean, you do have to watch because organ meats can accumulate metals. You know, kidneys, for example, can have high cadmium, just like us. We'll store cadmium in the kidneys.
mm.
So you do have to be careful, right? Like it is like you always want to source really, really good, but they also contain so many minerals. But yeah, the carnivore code was a big one for me. And lately I've kind of come to this conclusion that it's not like right or wrong. It doesn't have to be so like yes or no. It's more like, okay, let's eat fruit in the morning until 12. You know, carbohydrates are the body's preferred energy. Okay. I did carnivore for 30 days and I tested my testosterone before and after, and my testosterone tanked. I'm talking, it was at 300.
I don't know what's
The range is, I think, like 600 to 900 or
for
600.
men
I think 5 to 800 is the range.
for
Mine was
men
at,
every day?
yeah, mine was 300. After I've,
Did you feel that too?
yeah, I felt completely drained and depleted. I was
Mm.
running twice a day. I was working out. I wasn't giving the body any carbohydrates. So my cortisol levels were sky high, but I felt good initially because like the first 2, 3 weeks because I was not giving my body any like crap
Mhm.
and I felt clean. But I've learned as I've evolved is that it's just about the timing. You know, meat is nutrient dense. I eat it every day, but I wouldn't say I'm a carnivore. I eat a lot of fruit in the morning to give my body that carbohydrates to
Mhm.
lower my cortisol, and then I'll slowly, taper that down throughout the day, and then I'll start increasing fats and proteins more. But that's just what I do. But it's called the fruit maxing diet.
Yeah, and for women, eating is completely different because you're on a 30-ish day cycle. So, a lot of women who do carnivore will lose their cycle, which is not good.
Yeah,
And in order to bring it back, you start to put carbs towards the latter half of your menstrual cycle, which is after ovulation. It's
yeah,
when your body needs more grounding carbohydrates
yeah,
because it needs those things from the carbs. Like in your follicular phase, you can get away with being super, super low carb, and sometimes that works for women. Every body is different. Bioindividuality is a thing, of
yeah.
course. But yeah, I agree with you that different food timing is very crucial and not always very thought about.
Yeah, it's really about balance.
Mhm.
We need fats, proteins, and carbohydrates.
Yeah,
And I think eliminating one of those completely is not is a definite. It's not balanced at all. It's
right.
eliminating an entire category.
And it can be used as a tool at various stages of people's
Exactly.
lives.
Exactly.
This is my philosophy is that it
Exactly.
could be used as a
Just
tool.
like fasting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, I could go on a whole fasting tangent.
Yeah.
Okay, so in your experience, you're working with people directly on these things. You work with clinics and with individuals on this. What are the trends that you see with people?
Yeah. So first thing you'll see is low zinc and low copper. And you'll see usually people that don't eat a lot of animal-based protein. They're eating a
That
lot of
they what?
the low copper and zinc, and it's because they're not eating a lot of animal-based protein.
Not a lot of animal-based protein.
Yes.
Okay.
So, they eat maybe chicken or turkey, but they're not eating a lot of red meat, and they're not eating a lot of meat, or they're vegan, or they're vegetarian. They're not eating any meat.
You consider eating chicken and turkey not animal-based?
No, I'm just when that's the main focus and there's
Mhm.
not a lot of red meat from a ruminant animal,
Okay.
when the shift is more to chicken, you're gonna see a lot more, Usually inflammation because polyunsaturated fats,
Mhm.
PUFAs, seed oils.
Mhm.
What do they feed the chicken? Corn and
Corn and
soy.
soy, yeah.
What do they feed the cow? Grass for 85% of its life, at least. That's
Mhm.
that's the key.
And the other day we were talking about ruminant animals. That's 4 chambers of the stomach.
4 chambers of the stomach, correct.
And can you list out the animals besides the cow that have that?
Yeah, so you got bison, you got deer, you got lamb, you got, cows, you got anything with like goat,
Goat.
sheep,
Okay.
yeah.
So those animals are the ones probably eating grass, and they have the 4 chambers of the stomach, which
Yeah.
makes it lower in polyunsaturated fat?
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
Versus the
So
chicken eating corn and soy.
okay, and those people are lower in copper and zinc.
Yep,
Who are not those people who are not eating the foods that we just
correct.
listed, who are mostly eating chicken.
Yep. Copper, zinc, and then I would also say the B vitamins, B6, B9, B12.
Okay.
Yeah. That's one trend. Another trend I'll see is iodine low, and I'll also see fluoride high or mercury high. And if we look at the periodic table, you'll see column 17, you got chlorine, swimming pools, chlorinated tap water, chlorine, you got bromine, which is sprayed on carpets and upholstery, brominated seed oils, brominated flour. And then you've got fluoride, which is in tap water, which is also in toothpaste. Those are the halogens. The halogens are going to block the absorption of iodine and vitamin D. They're all right next to one another. So when you have people with, low iodine, part of the question needs to be, okay, how much halogen am I exposing myself to? Am I using fluoride toothpaste? I see it all the time. I'll see high fluoride. I'll see, we don't test for chlorine or bromide, but I'll ask, do you shower? Do you have a shower filter? So I'll see the halogen example a lot. Mercury, I'll see a lot in people that have had dental fillings. It's going to affect selenium, zinc, phosphorus, B9, vitamin D. And then, one of the things I'd say I see the most is high aluminum. And that's the reason why I started Ionome Labs with my co-founder, Jonathan, is because I see 90% of people high in aluminum. I mean, almost everybody has aluminum high. And not just with our test, it's with HTMA tests as well. But, the reason for that is that we're being exposed to it 24/7. It's in cookware, it's in antiperspirant deodorant, it's in tap water, it's an anticoagulant, so it grabs onto the bigger pieces of the wastewater, which is an abomination that we drink the wastewater, right? Like, we need to fix that in society. Like, we have artesian wells and springs that naturally come to the surface that in municipalities and in cities that they could be tapped and provided to the people for free. But we're selling plastic bottled water and we're poisoning our tap water. Anyway, that's a whole other topic. But aluminum it's everywhere. It's everywhere, and they're spraying it also from the sky. Geoengineering. If you can look up a patent for sorghum, aluminum tolerant sorghum, GMO seed. Now, why would they? So this is a patent that was filed to grow sorghum, the crop, in aluminum-based soil. So the problem with the geoengineering, one of the problems is that it's not only blocking the sun, but the different UV rays, but it's also lowering the pH of the soil. And I tested this. I tested the ice storm in Austin about 6 weeks ago, and the 2 high metals were aluminum and barium. So it's lowering the pH of the soil, and that's a big deal because that's going to affect plant growth. And we also know that boron is one of the ways to detox the aluminum. And boron, silica, magnesium, and lithium are the 4 minerals that are the most affected by aluminum. So the problem is we've got too much coming in. And number 2 is we don't have the minerals to support it. We don't have the silica, because where do we get silica? You can get silica from like horsetail. It's an herb. The conversion is only like 10% into the form that we need. You can get silica in water, like Fiji water is one of the best sources, 94 milligrams per liter of silica. 45% of that is converted into orthosalicylic acid, which is usable for the body. So it's an excellent source. Water is probably green beans would be another one, and then beer would be another one. But beer is not great because of the hops, and that's estrogenic. So you wouldn't need to take so much silica if you didn't have the overabundance of the aluminum. But when you have the overabundance of a metal that you can avoid it, but you can't avoid it entirely. And I'm not gonna recommend going to live in a glass bubble because we need community. So we're all getting exposed to this because we're breathing it, it's getting into the water, and that's why you need to have the synergist mineral, the silica. They just released a paper in September in Nature, and it talks about the beta amyloid plaque in the brain and the correlation with lithium deficiency. So again, lithium is a really important mineral for detoxing aluminum. Same with silica, same with boron. Now, boron's like an incredible mineral. If you look at where do we get boron? Apples, prunes. If you look at boron levels in the soil all across the world, the countries with the highest boron in the soil have the lowest osteoporosis levels. The country, which is Israel, for example, the countries that have the lowest boron in the soil have the highest osteoporosis levels. So boron can increase the vitamin D absorption by 49% in 2 weeks.
Say that again. Boron?
Boron can increase the vitamin D absorption by 49% in 2 weeks.
Boron can increase vitamin D absorption by 49% in 2 weeks?
Yes.
Whoa.
It's an essential mineral for testosterone. It's an essential mineral for hormones. And we're not getting it because it's not in the soil. And we have these antagonist metals like aluminum that are preventing the body from absorbing it. So it's like we need more of it because the metal's there, and we're not getting enough of it because it's not in the soil. So that's why we created the product. Because I'm always gonna recommend somebody to try to do the 80% from your food. Like, I'm a purist. We wouldn't need supplements. We wouldn't need supplements if the food was abundant and if it was grown in unpolluted areas with nutrient-dense soil, right? And that's the case for homesteading, just to do it all yourself. But a lot of people aren't gonna do that. I mean, that's my goal eventually, is to grow all my own things. But you're still not controlling the weather, what's coming down, unless you do a greenhouse. So, you always try to start with getting the majority from your food. And then you fill in the gaps with the supplements because that's what they are. They're there to supplement.
Okay, so trending.
Yeah.
We are low in iodine. We are low in zinc. We are low in copper.
Yep.
Low in boron.
Low in boron.
The soil is low in boron.
Magnesium.
Talk about magnesium.
Yeah. So magnesium is really important. It's again affected by aluminum. One of my favorite books is a book called EMF'd by Dr. Mercola, and he talks about how it's increasing the EMFs are increasing the magnesium burn rate. It's requiring us to need more magnesium because we're burning through it because we're all in a sympathetic state. But magnesium is a really important mineral for multiple different functions in the body. It's always better to take magnesium with carbohydrates than with fats. It's much better absorbed. I also really like topical magnesium spray. I also like magnesium Epsom salt baths. Cacao is really high in magnesium. However, it's high in cadmium. And it's because
it's always high in cadmium?
The cacao plant is notorious for absorbing a lot of cadmium in the soil.
Oh, interesting.
But I recently learned that, a lot of cacao comes from Africa, and I was told that they actually will leave the cacao pods and beans to dry from the sun and the air, and they'll leave them on these containers near the road. So all the exhaust is basically just settling down on them.
Oh.
Yeah, somebody told me that was high up in the cacao industry, which was interesting. Cadmium and lead, but yeah, and I'm guessing there's probably some in the manufacturing. But
I want to talk about the Oligo Scan in general for people who don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And how it works.
Yeah.
So can you just explain that?
Yeah. So the Oligo Scan is using spectrophotometry, so Beer-Lampert's law, and it's basically we're measuring the absorption and reflection of light shined into the peripheral tissue of the hand. So every metal and mineral is an element. Every element has a different color. And that color is determined by a thing called its atomic emission spectra. So we're basically just measuring the momentum change of light in the tissue to tell us if a mineral's low or if a metal's high. If we look at the different types of testing, blood is looking at what's in circulation. So that's really affected by the past 48 hours. Did I inhale a diesel exhaust fume? Did I eat a piece of tuna? Did I smoke a cigarette? Am I living in the city? But, metal is going to come into the body, food, water, air, and the body's either going to excrete it like it should, or it's going to store it. So the blood's only looking at the transportation system of nutrients. The body always wants to keep the blood in homeostasis. It doesn't want like an imbalance in the blood. Hair is looking at past 90 days via excretion via the hair.
Mm-hmm.
What the body's excreting. Hair, it can be a good test, but it's specific to what part of the body, and it also can get damaged from conditioners and shampoos. But we'll see correlations with the HTMA tests significantly. Then there's urine, which is what the body's excreting via the urine, kidneys, provoked or unprovoked. So taking a chelating agent to provoke the body to release the metals, or unprovoked, so just collecting urine. So they're all different tests. One test is not better than the other, in my opinion. I think they're all important tools in the toolbox to measure that specific vector of the body.
Okay, and if someone does one of these tests, let's say it's an HTMA or a blood test or a urine test or an Oligo Scan, and they get these results and they realize that they are deficient in all these things, other than what we've talked about, or do you have specific guidance for people for how to make sure that they are getting enough minerals?
Yeah. I would use chronometer.com for the basic ones because that's going to have all the heavy hitter minerals that you need the most.
And that's, you said, just tracking, you just put in what you're eating every day and it tells you your mineral levels.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. What's funny is like if you put in, just kind of give you my diet, like 2 grapefruits, an avocado, 4 eggs, liver, beef liver, like 4 to 6 ounces of beef liver, an avocado.
4 to 6 ounces of beef liver?
Yeah, you gotta go all in.
Oh my God.
That's really not that much. It's like probably like this.
Okay. Yeah, we have different definitions of not that much.
I can take a horse to water. I can't make him drink it. Trust me. I have this conversation with multiple doctors. It's not health advice. I'm not giving health advice. I'm just telling you to eat liver.
Yeah, to be clear, I fully respect this. Yeah. I respect it a lot. I'm hearing your list of things. I'm like, 4 to 6 ounces. I'm picturing myself taking a bite one day and being like, okay, I did it. Like one bite.
You will, and then not all liver is created equal. If you can get a really good source of liver, it tastes a heck of a lot better than the really nasty one that wasn't vacuum sealed properly, that wasn't handled the right way.
I'd have them cut it for me right at Radius and I'd eat it in the store.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. You can kind of dry it off a little bit and add some salt and some herbs, and you can put a little hot sauce on.
Okay, so 2 grapefruits, an avocado.
Liver, oyster, the main point, liver, oysters, and raw milk, and some butter, and some eggs, and some more fruit in the morning. Like, that's gonna make your chronometer like high, like abundantly high. Whereas like even if like, the cow was like 80%, 85% there, I'm still like getting way more than I need. I'm not saying to eat liver every day, but I'm saying like 2 to 3 times a week can really be beneficial.
Mm-hmm. If there's somebody who can't source it well, are there supplements that you do recommend? I know we said like 80% from your diet, but if someone is not near a regenerative butcher or doesn't hunt their food themselves, is there a like Heart and Soil is the supplement from Paul Saladino, I think. Do you have a recommended liver supplement that you recommend?
Yeah. So this is a great question. So if I have a cutting board and I put an ounce of oyster versus an ounce of liver, the oyster blows it out of the water like 10 to 1.
Mm.
So you need more liver, physically more liver than you do oysters when you do pound for pound comparison.
To yield the same nutrients, minerals.
Correct.
Okay.
So if somebody wants to go the supplement route, I'm always gonna say oysters because you're gonna have to take, like, 30 capsules of liver. I mean, 6 capsules of Heart and Soil is not a l it's if you actually think about, like, how much powder that is, it's not a lot of liver.
Mhm.
So, I think, like, people say, like, "Oh, I'm taking it," and it's not that it's bad, it's just you have to take a lot of it. But the oyster is super nutrient dense, so I prefer the oyster, and I prefer to eat the real liver. But, I mean, I would say anything is better than none. I mean, it's real nutrition. Um, Again, I just kind of like to always try to get the real thing because the real
Mhm.
food is, in my opinion, always anytime you take a really precious food and you try to put it in a shelf-stable capsule, I think you lose a lot of the bioavailability, because it's intended to be a food. But, it's not to say that it's bad.
Yeah,
It's just if
I
you really wanna feel the difference, gotta eat the real thing,
Mhm.
I think.
I do agree with you, and I'm just thinking about the various stages of life that I've gone through, and I'm currently in the stage of life where I'm like, "Yeah, I'll go and eat real liver, and I'll go I won't hunt the food myself, but I'll go to the butcher and eat it right then and there and do that a few times a week." I have bandwidth for that right now, but I also know people in my life who definitely don't have bandwidth for that. They barely have bandwidth for adding another supplement into their routine, and maybe a supplement is better than nothing. So, I like to give options to people. It's good to know that an oyster supplement will be better than a liver supplement.
Yeah, the one I really like is Oyster Max, but I would challenge people to really, like, dive deep because, like, there's a lot to be grateful for, and there's gratitude for the information, and there's an opportunity to have courage and to just try something and get out of your comfort zone and to see if it makes you feel better, which should be all of our goal is to enhance our body and to step into our higher self, and if there's a food that could light us up, but we have to overcome that limiting belief that taste is more important than nutrition. We've been conditioned to, "If it doesn't taste good, I don't want it." Well, it's 30 seconds of your life for a lot of reward, and you can brush your teeth after, which I recommend doing.
Yeah,
But, yeah.
I agree, and there's something to be said about the way what was the word you used about the bio
Ionic mimicry?
No, just like the fact that when you eat something, it's created perfectly. Like an apple has sugar, but it has fiber and it has all these things.
Yeah.
The way that food is designed, it's not once you reduce it into a supplement, you're really
The
losing out.
bioavailability, yeah,
Yes.
you're losing the I think you're losing the life force, really. I mean,
Mm.
maybe not really, but to an
Maybe.
extent,
Yeah.
to an extent. It's farther from its original intent,
Yeah, absolutely.
which is why I started hunting.
That's why you started hunting?
Well, yeah, it was to get closer to my food and to try to I went down this path of like, okay, I'm gonna try to find like the superfoods in this world. I remember reading a book when I was really young about, um, actually it was called The 10th Insight or The Celestine Prophecy, actually. And I read a couple books similar to that, but it was always about like going to the jungle and finding like the fountain of youth. And, I kind of did that in my own sense, but trying to find these, what do I need to be eating that's really going to help me unlock my higher self? Like what is it? And the latest health trend right now is drinking urine and fermenting urine. Uh,
Oh, I haven't heard that one yet.
yeah, I've tested the waters, but that's like a whole thing right now with Dr. Edward Group and Brian Ardis, and it's really interesting, it's fascinating, and, it's like, I think we just need to be open-minded and try to, like, investigate these different topics on our own and not be closed-minded, just like with the liver, it's like, try it. It's a food. Urine, it's sterile. But anyway, that's just a side note, but that's really popular right now and the ability to create your own stem cells, and I think it's really interesting.
I always say this about menstrual blood. Menstrual blood is really high in stem cells, and I just think it is absolutely an abomination that there are not more companies that allow you to just send your menstrual blood in to be analyzed. It's leaving your body anyway. Like, in
Yeah,
my opinion, they have companies where you can send in urine samples. You can get your blood drawn with a needle that goes through your vein. You can send in your stool. You can send in your hair. You can send in all these things. And then
it's illegal?
I don't think it's illegal,
Oh,
but it's not well-known science. Like,
yeah.
there aren't tests, at least there aren't tests that I'm aware of. If someone knows of one, please let me know. But women are shedding their uterine lining every month. Like,
Yeah.
you're shedding menstrual blood. Why are we not studying it more? And we know it's
Yeah.
full of stem cells. We know it's full of stem cells. So that's like valuable stuff. And it's just people are closed-minded. So they're like, oh, menstrual blood, gross. I don't want to touch it. But it's like, no, this is rich in data and in stem cells. So I think having an open mind is important, even if it's weird to talk about. It's important.
I know some women friends that save their placenta
For what?
and they eat it.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, because of the minerals and
Yeah.
the stem cells.
Yeah.
It's
Lots of
it's
different
like it's like
philosophies.
yeah, it's like it might be there, maybe it's
Mhm.
not, but we should look into it.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, this is an interesting note to leave it on, but I do think it's an important one. I think that the sentiment here is that the human body is designed in ways that we don't always understand, but what we do understand, we can do our best to support it. And the world around us is not what it was designed to be. It's not
Yeah.
natural in our society anymore. And some of that is okay. And some of it, we have to do what we can to support ourselves through it.
We always have to do the best we can, but yeah, we have to at least give ourselves a chance,
Mhm.
and the way to do that is to try to dig through and identify the root cause, and it's to take inventory on our lives and see, like, where are we not where are we not meeting the mark, and how do we fix that?
Mhm.
And, it's all about the root cause. It's all about the symptoms. The symptoms are the body's expressing, "Hey, there needs to be attention here," and what is the body trying to tell me? And how do I fix the root cause of actually the imbalance in the body, you know? Dis-ease is the dis-ease. What's the imbalance? Could be mental, could be physical, could be emotional, could be spiritual, So, yeah, and I think the overall takeaway is, like, you gotta at least make sure that you're giving the body the chance with the minerals. That's
Mhm.
kinda my take-home message.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank
Yeah.
you for coming on the podcast and for sharing your wisdom with us.
Yeah.
If people want to get in touch with you, how can they reach you?
Um, I have my link tree on my Instagram, so just Jeff Lioon, JEFFLIOON, and, my company is just ionomelabs.com, and then Oligo Scan is just theoligoscan.com, OLIGO scan, SCAN.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
you got it. Thanks.